Well, there are big derby occasions, and then there are really big derby occasions. 15 years ago, we had an F3 Derby Grand Final. 8 years ago, the two Melbourne clubs clashed in the semis. Tonight, it's Sydney's turn in the elimination final, and the stakes simply could not be higher. The skies are clear. The tension has been building all week. The two main football tribes of Sydney, united only by dislike of each other, are about to get it on in the biggest Sydney derby yet. A place in the semi-finals against Melbourne City, the prize for the winners. Terrific noise around the stadium. Here's the team news, not much of it for the Wanderers. They're unchanged for the third game in a row. No injury concerns for Marco Rudan, only selection headaches. Lawrence Thomas is their most experienced finals campaigner. His 11th playoff match tonight. He kept a clean sheet in that Melbourne finals derby against City in 2015, but his last game in the end-of-season showdowns was a 6-1 loss to Sydney with victory in 2019. Brandon Borrello has 9 goals in his last 10, but is yet to score in the derby. He played for Brisbane in the Wanderers' last finals appearance 6 years ago and scored in the penalty shootout that gave Brisbane Roar the victory. 3 changes for Sydney. Jack Rodwell returns after missing the win over Newcastle in place of James Donachie. Paolo Retre is recalled in place of Adrian Segicic. And Robert Mack is back after being rested last week. Joe Lolly not quite fit enough to start with that hamstring problem. He's on the bench. Alex Wilkinson plays his 28th finals match. That's the most of any player in A-League men's history. He is aiming to reach what would be an 8th grand final. Well, Marco Rudan, of course, was involved in a war of words with his opposite number, Steve Corica, after Sydney's win here in February. He said later he just reminded Corica of what he called the play acting of Sydney's players. Steve Corica, for his part, accused Rudan of being a sore loser. Sydney made great play of Brandon Borrello's bang average quote in the build-up to the third derby, but it rather backfired as they lost 4-0. You wouldn't know the two coaches used to be teammates in Sydney's title-winning team of 2006. So the countdown is on. And we are underway. The 34th and biggest Sydney derby is underway. They've had crowds of 60,000 plus for this fixture, played off for a place in the cup final, but never in the A-League finals. This could be quite a night, Daniel McBree.
Well, I'm sure it will be, Simon. Good evening, everyone. And the narrative for Sydney this year has basically been looking over their shoulder at the chasing pack. Well, tonight, they stand face to face, eyeball to eyeball with their biggest rival for a chance to play against City, make that grand final. Just 3 points separated them in the end. What an occasion.
Well, the Wanderers started very quickly in the last derby at Allianz Stadium, and surely they'll be looking to do the same again. You mentioned in the pre-game show about the little traps that they sprung that night for Sydney FC. I'm sure Steve Corica will be cognizant of that and will have prepared for that this week. Sydney finally get on the ball in a more advanced position. It's Anthony Caceres with Robert Mack outside him. Lafondra has run into the box, but Sydney will have to come back out. Here's Bratton, Ryan Grant making one of his trademark runs down the right-hand side. But not down for Max Burgess. They've got more in the box now, Sydney. Burgess, first shot at anger, off target, but encouragement for Sydney FC.
Yeah, it's a run we're used to seeing from Ryan Grant in behind, and the support play from underneath was Max Burgess was great. And this is what you want to see. Young man full of confidence, getting at his defender.
I think they've had a big night last night, don't you, Macca?
I think so as well.
Now, Borrello, Wanderers' top scorer, around Wilkinson, chance for the Wanderers, and quickly shut down by Jack Rodwell. Well defended, but that's the danger of Brandon Borrello.
Yeah.
He won't worry about that. He's more concerned about the sort of delivery he's about to put in. Rodwell and Wilkinson about to make their move at the back post. The signal goes up from Burgess. It's a pacey delivery off the head of Layuni. Protected by Bratton. And hooked back by Rattray. And Sydney will start again through Joel King here. Off the chest of Simmons and out for a throw. Here he is on the ball, looking for Layuni. It's an awkward one for King, and Layuni's nipped in. Rodwell to the rescue for now. Still there for Layuni. And Borrello. Desperate stuff by Sydney FC. And Alex Wilkinson sees it safely behind for a Wanderers corner. Schneidel in to deliver the corner. Lurcher and Marcelo about to make their move. Goes towards the back post and flicked off the head of Burgess. Retrieved by Nieuwenhof. Scooped back into the box. Oh, and Marcelo was all alone. And really should have hit the target.
Yeah, should have done better there. Pressure was reapplied. Nieuwenhof with a wonderful ball in, and Marcelo found himself in acres of space, and he just mistimed the header. You won't want to see that replay.
Touch by Lafondra was clever, and Mack is in behind. There's a little bit of contact there, and Lafondra's shot is blocked. Sydney will get a corner. Paulo Retra is first to Chris Beath to say, hey, what about the penalty there? And Chris Beath reminding him that VAR will no doubt be having a look at this.
For me, it's shoulder to shoulder, and then he loses his balance and footing. It's a great move from Mack. You see there, they're both tussling. It's just here, he just seems to stumble.
Lovely skill. Very sweet feet from Roman Amalfitano. Mais oui, monsieur. Traore there, miss out Ninkovic, and now the Wanderers could perhaps spring forward. Borrello, Layuni in position on the right, Simmons joining in. An attack of real potential for the Wanderers. Layuni gets the byline, but the cross too close to Redmayne. Here's Burgess. Top of the box is Mack. Two defenders in front of him. Was one too many. Rattray. Layuni had a bit of a swing there, which could have been dangerous. Caceres. And still. Anthony Caceres, eventually weight of numbers told. And Borrello gets it out of harm's way. Now Layuni, the Wanderers looking to spring forward, but again, Sydney hunting in packs. They've done that really well in the early stages at Combank. Now Robert Mack, it might open up here for Ryan Grant on the right. Lafondra lets it run, Mack couldn't control it. The rebounds just evades Ryan Grant, but it will be a Sydney FC corner, and it was panic stations there in the Wanderers' defence.
A little bit of positivity there from Sydney FC.
Sydney's third corner. Again, Burgess to deliver. Mack darts the near post to draw some defenders away, and Rodwell this time gets it on target, but straight at Lawrence Thomas. Rodwell looking to drill it cross fields. Beautifully flighted for Mack. Lovely first-time ball. Beautiful backheel by Lafondra. Mack trying to curl it. Takes a deflection corner. Super football by Sydney.
And that man's starting to creep into the game, isn't he? Robert Mack, such good form of late. Wonderful crossfield pass.
How about the touch from Mack?
A little 1-2 as well. Just starting to creep into the game. A few forays into Western Sydney territory now.
Grant's got a little flick on that, beautifully done as well. It's over the head of Lafondra though, the cross. Wanderers can't clear their lines, and Sydney will come again. Bratton for Rattray. Can have a go here, Paulo Rattray, and why not? And Sydney want a corner. They're not going to get it.
We've seen a real intensity in the Sydney midfield, haven't we? Bratton, Rattray, really working hard. Sorry.
Here's Traore. And Ninkovic! Oh, what a chance for the Wanderers, and Redmayne got a touch on it. Goes down as a really good save then. And Milos Ninkovic almost with the breakthrough after a very patient build-up from the Wanderers.
He just ghosted in, didn't he? The time that would have been to get your first goal for Western Sydney.
Drops here for Mack. Runs straight into Nieuwenhof. And he will drive forward away from Mack. Around the outside of King, the Wanderers building nicely and smacks Wilkinson in the face. They appeal for handball and Chris Beat says yes. Penalty for Western Sydney Wanderers.
Well, what about the run from Callum Nieuwenhof to set this in motion? Not much Alex Wilkinson, I think, could do about it as he looked to block the cross. As it comes in, you see there, is that a stretch? It comes up off the ground, but it was that man, Callum Nieuwenhof, puts it in. And the arm's up in the air. And strikes Wilkinson. Bratton with the original touch, and it comes off the chest onto the arm.
And it's going to be the Frenchman who's got bags of experience against Andrew Redmayne, who of course is the penalty saving specialist. How many times have we said that? Those heroics against Peru in the World Cup qualifying playoff. We're going to have the Wiggles routine. It's going to be outlawed soon. But he can do it for now. Let's see if Schneiderlin keeps his cool. May we! 1-0 for the Wanderers. Morgan Schneiderlin from the spots. And a yellow card for Robert Mack for the protests that followed the award of that penalty. That's how it happened. Not an awful lot Wilkinson could do, but the arm was out. And the dancing on the line meant nothing.
Having on the replay shows cool, calm and collected there. Morgan Schneiderlin straight down the middle. Redmayne goes to his left and off he goes to celebrate.
It's a good touch by Nieuwenhof. Traoré, Borrello, lovely football, little slip by Borrello. And then maybe saw the headlines in the morning papers. But given the form he's in this season, it wouldn't have been beyond the realms of possibility for that to nestle in the bottom corner.
You've seen him this season. It's just that little slip. Brought it all undone. It was a wonderful play down that left-hand side.
Max Burgess to deliver. Plenty of flight towards Wilkinson, but Marcelo wanted ahead of him. Grant's ball was a really good one, and Burgess trying to break through. Grant had a swing at it. I fancy that Max Burgess got in his way there. Still there for Sydney. They might have to be quick though. Chris Beats blows for half-time. A tense and intense first 45 minutes, but Morgan Schneiderlin's penalty separates the two teams in this second elimination final. And the Wanderers are halfway to a semi-final meeting with Melbourne City. At the break, it's Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Sydney FC 0. Sydney have won 3 times this season after falling behind. It was only a few weeks ago down in McBreen we thought they were dead and buried against Western United. They were 3-1 down and came back to draw 3-3. So this tie is far from being dead.
Well, there's a lot of football to be played in the remaining 45 minutes, and if needed, an extra 30.
Well, scoring goals hasn't been a problem for Sydney FC of late. 2 last week against the Jets, 2 the week before against Brisbane, and 4 the week before that at home to Perth. So there are goals in this team. And they're attacking the end of the ground where the majority of their fans are. Little backhill by Burgess. Robert Mack inside the box. Oh, Ryan Grant got it all wrong. It's still alive. And nodded back out wide by Murtala. Again, just a little moment of panic in the Wanderers' defence. Nice little combination between Burgess and Mack. Good pressure by Sydney.
Yeah, and Robert Mack's at it again. He had some moments in the first half.
Now Joel King, lovely threaded ball by Burgess, and it's going to be a corner off Simmons, and the Sydney FC fans rise as one behind that goal. And Bratton across for Wilkinson. Wide left is King. Into the near post, Lafondra! Oh, that's an excellent save by Lawrence Thomas. A snapshot from Adam Lafondra, bringing out the best in Lawrence Thomas to preserve the Wanderers' advantage.
Well, it's a wonderful striker's run as it's put across the front. You see he just nips in across.
Here's the corner. Back post is Wilkinson looking to amend for the penalty he gave away. Bratton on the volley. Goodness me. That was close. He's only ever scored once for Sydney FC, Luke Bratton, but he caught that oh so sweetly. Defend the lead. Given to them by Morgan Schneiderlin's penalty at this end of the ground in the first half. King's cross, Lafondra's flick, Caceres on the turn. Wanderers get bodies in the way, Grant's back across the face, and Ninkovic takes no chances. Edge of your seat stuff.
To say it's all one-way traffic is an understatement.
Well, the Wanderers are out this time, and Amor Layuni on the charge, trying to wriggle clear of Joel King. And it flicks up off the head of Wilkinson and into the grateful arms of Andrew Redmayne. And a chance, probably for the first time in the second half, to try and put a bit of pressure on Andrew Redmayne's goal. Morgan Schneiderlin, whose goal still divides the two teams, to take the free kick. Works it short for Neuenhoff, who then angles it up towards Marcelo, and Beadling challenging Redmayne. The goalkeeper's hands were secure. Look at that for a stat, Macca.
Well, that really shows the dominance, doesn't it? 19 touches for Sydney in the second half in Western Sydney's box to 0.
Might be 20 coming up. Burgess with the cross. Away by Traore, brought down by Robert Mack. Wanted a touch! In it goes, off the woodwork! Sydney all square! And it's Robert Mack! Double figures for the season for the Slovak, and this one, his most vital goal yet.
Well, he's had his moments in this match, Robert Mack. He's looked dangerous on that left-hand side coming into Western Sydney's area. And on the 20th touch in the opposition's box in the second half, the Harvey Norman replay will say it was fantastic work down the left from Burgess. And he reads it, Robbie Mack. Throws the dummy in off the post. Lawrence Thomas may have got a touch on it, but couldn't keep it out. And you just see here, just throws the dummy, gets it there. Slight touch from Thomas in off the post, and it's 1-1 in the derby. He's probably looked as Sydney's most likely. He's been dangerous, and that makes it 6 in his last 6 matches.
His cross caused the chaos for the goal. Bratton's delivery and Joel King arriving at the back post. Well, that would have been a collector's item. Oh, that's really well done by Caceres. Very quick feet. Oh, that's less well done by Retro. Turning the ball over for Borrello. Layuni galloping forward. Borrello didn't see him or chose to ignore him. And Sydney have got numbers back. Wanderers still on the attack. Amalfitano. Borrello has to go the long way. Plays in Aidan Simmons. And the ricochet will favour Redmayne. And a rare glimpse of the Sydney goal in the second half for the red and black.
It has been all Sydney FC this second half.
It's going to be a Sydney corner. More pressure incoming. Can the Wanderers withstand it? It's been an almighty effort by those in sky blue in the second half. Their 9th corner of the game to be delivered by Robert Mack. In it comes, and Lafondra! With 10 minutes to go! puts Sydney FC into the lead, scoring for the 5th consecutive game and his 5th goal in 7 finals appearances. Is that the crucial blow that sends Sydney through to the last 4?
Well, they've turned up the heat in the second half, this Sydney FC team, and they've just applied the blowtorch. Mr. Reliable, Adam Lafondra, steps up when needed against their old enemy. A wonderful ball in. The Harvey Norman replay shows it's right along the 6-yard box. And the wee man, Adam Lafondra, goes in, gets up highest and guides it into the far post for a lead that Sydney FC will cherish.
Well, he actually uses Joe Lawley, I think, as a little bit of leverage here, but they all count. This is Schneiderlin, whose goal seems an awful long time ago now. Milanovic, Nieuwenhof, Simmons, into a good little pocket of space. Borrello driving towards goal, but Redmayne hangs on to the ball. And Sydney breathe again. Don't write off the Wanderers. Here goes Borrello. Works it out towards Wilmering on the left, and he's got a bit of room here. Daniel Wilmering. Wilmering to try and hang it up, and Redmayne can't hang on to it. Nieuwenhof on a lash towards goal. It drops here for Brandon Borrello. In by Wilmering. Oh, and a complete air swing by Yanni Mbakoto. Well, that almost seemed to happen in slow motion. Redmayne just letting the ball squirm through his grasp like it was a bar of soap.
Well, he hasn't had too much to do in this second half. When he had been called on, up until this moment, he looked comfortable. He just got this all wrong, didn't he? Under pressure. See Yankee, maybe a little bit of a grab of the arm.
Adam Lafondra the other. Here's the free kick. Osamo! Well, he had one of those in the first half where he was unmarked, and again he's missed the target, and Marco Redan simply cannot believe it. Point blank range. If that's on target, it's 2-2. Last chance for the Wanderers. Marcelo wins the header. Redmayne will claim it, and that should be that. And Chris Beath confirms it. The Sydney FC players punch the air. What a second half performance by the Sky Blues. The balance of power in Sydney, for now at least, remains tilted towards the east. Sydney is sky blue tonight. And the Wanderers, who led at half-time, are heartbroken. Full-time in Parramatta. Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Sydney FC 2.